One of the most respected writers when it comes to gaming puts the fire under Xbox and calls them out to be even better. The Bethesda acquisition wasn't enough for Xbox Game Studios to lose focus on the bigger picture. Let's get into this write-up and see if Xbox can compete in a very competitive first-party market. Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for stopping by the channel and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button if you like the video. The support is greatly appreciated. So enough of that, let's get into this massive article written by Jez Corden, where he talks about Xbox Game Studios and what they have to accomplish now that they have far more time to get things right. What he means by that is he explains that the ZeniMax Bethesda buyout shouldn't give the already core studios within Xbox a pass, that they still have to come out and show exactly what they're made of, bring out big games and continue to bring out big games that people want to play. Here's what the article starts off by saying, because I just want to get right into this. As Microsoft dives ever deeper into subscription-oriented gaming with Xbox Game Pass, there's no question that the gaming giant has boatloads of content, with dozens of teams under Xbox Game Studios and soon Bethesda/ZeniMax. Xbox Game Pass content is set to swell by the truckload. One of the biggest narratives that plague Xbox on social media and potentially beyond into the common perception of Xbox is that Microsoft doesn't match Sony on franchise quality. Halo hasn't had the same prestige it once enjoyed, and Minecraft is wholly multi-platform and scarcely associated with the Xbox or Microsoft brand. Now, this is something I actually agree on wholeheartedly. Halo, while still the biggest franchise that Xbox has, is not the same caliber it used to be for a very long time. Part of that is due to the game being in production for so long, or the fact that the last game wasn't that great when it comes to the single-player story aspect of it. But every other massive franchise like Minecraft is a first-party game, but on multiple platforms. And when you look at the other games that have come out to Xbox over the last several years, you know they just aren't the same quality and critical acclaim that Sony has provided this last generation. But with Bethesda coming on to first party, can this change things for Xbox? Of course it can, but that doesn't mean the other first party studios get a pass, which is what the article points out here. With Bethesda, ID Software, Machine Games, Arcane, and other big name ZeniMax studios joining the roster, the question of quality could evaporate. But what about Microsoft's core studios under Xbox Game Studios lead Matt Booty? Will they get the budgets they need to match Sony on quality, or will we see more of the same AA rough state launches that we've had with games like ReCore, Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, and others? Now, this is something I've talked about before. While ZeniMax and Bethesda and all those studios attached with the acquisition is a huge jump in quality and quantity for Xbox, there's still this massive question mark when it comes to some of the studios that are already a part of Xbox Game Studios. These studios are led by Matt Booty, who's been a very busy person trying to get all of the resources and tools for these studios to make massive games. Sure, we had a pretty awesome July event that showed up to 7 AAA games in development, and all of that is great, but again, it doesn't give the studios at Xbox a pass for things we've gotten in the past. Because let's realize that Xbox does have a lot to prove in the next couple of years, especially when it comes to first-party games that are going to come to the Xbox Series X next-generation console. Because while Xbox has talked about and touted Series X being the most powerful console on the market, we still need them to take advantage of that power. But most of all, they need to take advantage of it with great games that are universally praised by not only critics, but gamers in general. And they have to advertise those games as such. Massive games that everyone's going to want to play or have to play or want to get an Xbox for, which is something that Jez continues to say right here. One of the things that really bugs me about Microsoft's games marketing is their overuse of big budget CGI trailers that totally betray expectations, all the way back to the canceled Phantom Dust, Scalebound, and titles that did launch like ReCore and Crackdown 3. Microsoft presented these games with high quality CGI pre-rendered trailers with tons of detail and cinematic flair. Microsoft's marketing budget simply doesn't seem to match many of these games' reality. Now, this part of the article is something I didn't really think about until he brought it up here. It's true, Xbox does have some amazing CGI trailers that make the game look much higher in quality than it really is. Games like ReCore being the biggest corporate of this, and I would also throw in State of Decay 2. Games that are great when you play them, but don't match the hype and budget the trailer portrayed it would be. Now, I know a lot of people might get mad at that and will point to Gears 5 or Forza Horizon 4 as games that did match that quality, and I'll agree with you on those. But for the most part, a lot of the games just didn't match the same intensity and quality that those trailers gave. And it's something I hope is a thing of the past, because games like Avowed, Fable need to come out and knock it out of the park. Games that people are very hyped up for and will not accept anything less than a massive AAA RPG that's of high quality. Yet again, this is something that Xbox has to prove to us gamers. It's something that Xbox and Microsoft need to come out and show that they're committed to high quality AAA games from their first party studios. Not just from ZeniMax, but from the Xbox Game Studio developers that have been hard at work for the last 2 or 3 years making new experiences for us. No longer can we see games come out half finished or not finished and patched later. And most of all, they need to be high quality, which is something that the article mentions here. Throughout the past generation, Microsoft became known as a company that canceled previously announced titles, mismanaged expectations, and utterly underdelivered, with games often scoring in the 70s or below on review aggregation sites like Metacritic, if indeed they launched at all. Many have laid blame on stricter budgets in the Xbox One era with too little of an emphasis on quality. Before Phil Spencer took the reins at Xbox, the entire division sat under Windows in the organizational chart. Now Xbox is elevated to its own position as part of Microsoft's broader efforts to court developers into Azure services such as PlayFab and GameStack. Xbox Game Pass has also seen Microsoft's gaming coffers swell on the consumer side too, with hardware sales of the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X unable to meet demand. This is something I've talked about a lot on this channel. Xbox has had a very rough go at it when it comes to first-party content during the Xbox One generation. But as time went on, we have to see Xbox invest a lot of money in not only new studios, but new developers and resources for their studios to use. They've injected so much money into the Xbox Game Studio quality that it's almost overwhelming. But it's something that Sony has been doing for a very, very long time, because Sony's first-party studios weren't always this massive success. No, they were very much in the same boat as Xbox, and instead of sitting back and being lazy, Sony decided to invest in their first party dating back to the PS3 era, which has paid off huge for them because of the PS4 generation was dominated by them, which is something that the article brings up here. Sony is bringing more of its games right to Microsoft's home turf on Windows 10. Horizon Zero Dawn already dominated the Steam charts when it dropped last year, and now Sony has revealed Days Gone and more PlayStation exclusives are headed to Windows. Sony's games tend to dominate headlines and Metacritic rankings and are often the subject of envy from Xbox owners. The tide could turn if ZeniMax games like Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and Doom go exclusive, but that possibility is still unknown. The question remains over Matt Booty's team under Xbox Game Studios. Can they meet Sony in terms of sheer quality? Does Microsoft allocate enough budget to meet Sony on quality? Does Microsoft even want to meet Sony on photorealism and depth? Do they even need to? Or is the entire argument based on console wars and fear of missing out from the social media vocal minority? So I have to agree with this most of the time. People are yelling from the rooftops because they love the drama and the console wars. As for me personally, I don't care about all that stuff. I care about games I'm able to play and fall in love with. And that's something that's happened with me for Xbox games and of course Sony games. Sea of Thieves is one of my favorite games of all time. I utterly adored that game. God of War is one of the best games I've ever played and couldn't stop playing when I started it. There's countless other games I've played from both first-party studios that I can point to and say were amazing. But when it comes to critical reception and having memorable characters, I would have to point to Sony. They've given me stories I remember, characters I love, and of course memories I can cherish. That's the main ingredient I think Xbox is missing, and it's something they have to focus on. While I love multiplayer games and I enjoy playing them all the time with my friends, and I've made some amazing memories there, I still have to say I want those crazy character moments I'll always remember for my games. So yes, I do hope Xbox takes their game seriously, and most of all, I hope they take their characters in the game even more serious, which in turn will show the fans you take us seriously. So yes, I agree with Jez Corden, and this is one of the best write-ups I've read in a very long time. And I know it's critical of Xbox, but it's always good to give constructive criticism to a product you enjoy, because you always want them to get better. which is something I see Xbox doing. Let's hope they can stick the landing with some of these games, because these first-party titles need to come out hot for the Xbox Series X to actually make some noise. But enough of what I think about all this, tell me what you think about all this. Do you agree with what Jez had to say? Does Xbox Game Studios need to prove themselves? What type of games would it take to get rid of the bad stigma attached to Xbox first-party games? Will Bethesda help squash this bad narrative? What games has Xbox announced that look high quality to you? Do you think Xbox can make games that are universally loved? Has Sony pulled too far ahead for Xbox to actually compete? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter @Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there. So get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Dirt 5, which is really fun. It's on Xbox Game Pass, just dropped on there a few days ago, so that game's actually a lot of fun. And I've been playing a lot of The Medium. Again, a really story-driven, horror-based game that I've actually really enjoyed. So yeah, a lot of games dropping into Xbox Game Pass in the last month, and there's going to be more coming out like Star Wars and a bunch of other ones. So I'm really enjoying Game Pass. There's so much content on there, it's kind of overwhelmingly cool. So I want to know what you're playing. Go down below. Are you playing something from Game Pass? Did you just buy a new game? Or are you working through something on your backlog? Go down below and let me know. I love to talk about games and what everyone's playing. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.